new stream. This got your name on it, whereas the first one was NAACP. Even though, like I said, y'all will be chiming in together.
Is it on the 102.5?
Yes, Kelly K.
You see it?
No, it ain't live yet.
Oh, there it is.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
KLEK Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for community conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. This program those of the participants do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our
KLK 102.5 FM, and we are back on Community Conversations, and we are still here with our guest, but this time we starting off with Mr. Garrett Barnes, who is the Justice of the Peace for District 2 here in Craighead County, and Mr. Jamal Carter, who is joining in support now of Garrett. So Garrett, as we always do each and every month or quarterly, you kind of give us the updates of what's going on in the county. So what updates do you have for us today?
Well, first off, we didn't have to travel very far to join you for this next segment, fortunately. Been going at it for a while this morning. Want to send a shout out to Jay Vincent and Michelle and was it Janee or Geanee?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Yeah,
We
so.
helped out with the breakfast early this morning. Been going since about 4:30 this morning. And for some of the listeners out there, that might be every day for them, but a little bit earlier for me this morning. And Rico and I helped out with that. Had a really good time. Just want to say thank you to Jay for including us and letting us help out with that. All the JPD officers got off to a really good start this morning with a carb load for the eclipse. So
Yeah.
they should be fueled and ready to go for today's big eclipse day.
Okay. And one of the things that you have been talking about, I've been seeing a lot in the news, is the talk of interlocal agreements, especially with the library. And you even spoke at the most recent city council meeting about this issue.
Well, fortunately, that went very well. Councilman Chris Moore spoke about it and questioned. His question was, is it true that the city of Jonesboro and its citizens, its businesses, its taxpayers pays more via the 1 mil for the library's local funding than Craighead County does, which in this instance, the county just means all incorporated cities that aren't Jonesboro, as well as all unincorporated areas. And, the answer to that question is yes. The city of Jonesboro and its taxpayers and businesses, that they pay 73% of the 1 mil to the library, yet the mayor of the city of Jonesboro and its council, by nomination and then confirmation by the council, that they only get to appoint and confirm 43% of the library's boards. So it's an agreement that hasn't been changed since 1941. And a lot of things has changed since 1941.
I mean, we're talking World War II era.
But that is not one of them.
Right.
And, it's more than time for it to change and be brought into a contemporary, state. And, the way to do that is to look at the funding of the library locally, look at the population of Craighead County and the city of Jonesboro. Keith Inman with the Jonesboro Sun, after the council meeting, he wrote that, in 1940, the census was that Jonesboro was barely over 20% of Craighead County's population. Well, things has changed since 1941, and the city of Jonesboro is now just over 70% of the population of Craighead County. Yet those library board nominations haven't changed. So, the library board consists of 7 board members, and currently the Office of County Judge gets to nominate, and those nominations are subject to confirmation of the quorum court. It has to go through committee first. It has to go through the Public Service Committee, and then if the Public Service Committee passes it onto the full court then has to confirm the nomination. So, most nominations just go through without a hitch, but they still have to be confirmed. So, neither the county judge nor the mayor of Jonesboro gets to automatically nominate somebody, and that's it. They're the only ones that get to make that decision. The governing body of the city council gets to confirm it for the city, and the quorum court gets to confirm it for the county. And the city right now only has 3 of the library board nominations of the 7.
So you can obviously see the imbalance there. So once you presented this, like, what kind of feedback did you get? Were people receptive? Did you get any pushback?
Well, I haven't had any explicit pushback yet. I mean, it may exist out there for whatever reason, but whatever the reason is, it's certainly not the tax base. It's not, the population. And, another important thing to note too, and, to show how things have changed, the Craighead County Quorum Court, it has 13 justices of the peace, and I'm just one of them. But 9 of those 13 districts are entirely within the city limits of Jonesboro. So, 9 divided by 13 is upper 69%. So, it all follows the trend that whether you look at it from local funding, whether you look at it from a population, or you look at it from quorum court districts, about 70% of everything in Craighead County is the city of Jonesboro and its citizens and businesses. So, that's why the board, in my opinion, and so far a lot of people agree with it, and it's something I've heard from constituents since 2022, and this is a very good time to make sure that agreement gets updated. I mean, it's 2024. It's not 1941.
Okay. And we'll just have to keep an eye on this to see how this goes. So something else that's going on with the county is the jail expansion. I know when I ride by there, I see the process that's being, not the jail, the courthouse, excuse me,
Right.
Expansion. So kind of update the listeners about that.
So, I mean, it's a great expansion right now. It's not costing the taxpayers of Craighead County an additional dime. We're fortunately using American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA funds. And, it's important to note, too, and, those ARPA funds are the result of President Joe Biden and congressional Democrats in the House and the Senate for passing the American Rescue Plan Act. And, there may be folks out there that disagree with the president or, the partisanship that comes with higher office, especially in D.C. I mean, Rico mentioned division earlier. There sure is a lot of division in D.C., but, those funds are really important for what they can do locally. And, Craighead County and Jonesboro and other cities in Northeast Arkansas are fortunate to have those ARPA funds. And, it's put a lot of people to work with, them being used to update infrastructure, whether it's water or sewer, or in this case, our county courthouse annex.
Okay. And what are some other things that are going on in the county that people may need to be made aware of?
Well, at the moment right now, we have an agenda that's pretty light that's coming up tonight, actually, at 5:30 at 511 Union Avenue in the basement of the current annex, and that starts at 5:30. So, real light agenda tonight. We go into committee. I'm on transportation committee. We'll receive a road report and update on that. And, to kind of go back to the library, this is the library is very emblematic of the imbalance between Craighead County and the city of Jonesboro, and all cities for that matter, Leganzi, because, when we start looking at things like, you mentioned the jail, when we start looking at different services in the county, quite often it's the city of Jonesboro that within their own geographic boundary, they're putting up most of the funds when it comes to funding for different things. And, it's just very rarely that the city of Jonesboro receives support from, and it does, but, I'm and different council members would certainly like to see more cooperation between Craighead County and the city of Jonesboro on things like the jail, on things like mosquito control, on things like
Which I am
trails.
1,000,000% behind. anything to get rid of the mosquitoes.
I don't know if we can get rid of it. We probably can't be like Bill Clinton and promise to get rid of them with Judge Roy Bearden several years ago.
The city just gave a grant to ASU to work on mosquito control. But again, I feel like that's some type of collaboration with the county where you can give them these funds. I can't remember the amount, but their focus is research and mosquito control in our community. So that's very important.
Well, and if we put an emphasis on quality of life, or we put an emphasis on public infrastructure for people and families to go and enjoy, I mean, it gets pretty tough to enjoy them when there's so many mosquitoes, especially in South Jonesboro. I mean, kind of towards where you live, start getting pretty bad, and so does Valley View and that area as well. So that's something that can have a very broad and very immense local impact if we were to cooperate together and support a common initiative like mosquito control. And anything else that we focus on, whether it's the jail or it's trails, once the county and the city starts collaborating together, leveraging their own resources, and interlocally applying for different grants, which I think would be a great grant package for both the city and county to work together on in the future. And so I'm certainly very supportive of that.
And that's something I feel like the county should be able to work with the city. We just did the RAISE grant, just working on that, and I was on that review committee, and so we collaborated with Paragould. How do you collaborate with another city, and we can't even collaborate with our own interlocal government?
Well, there's a regional interconnectivity, initiative with that, and it's one I'm very impressed by, because we're not just the city of Jonesboro, we're not just Craighead County. I mean, we're regional partners as well too, right. With Poinsett and Greene and Lawrence counties, and so having a regional interconnectivity mindset, I think, is very important moving forward in the future. And I put a big emphasis on the city of Jonesboro because the city of Jonesboro is so vital to the revenue and operations of Craighead County. Could you imagine Craighead County trying to make ends meet with a budget without any revenue from the city of Jonesboro and its tax base? But this goes beyond just Jonesboro. There's other cities in Craighead County as well too. I'm from one of them. It's Bono, and we have Lake City, we have Monette, and Brooklyn especially. So there's a lot of opportunities with the Interlocal Cooperation Act that was passed by our legislature just a few years ago, and it's all right there. And so I'm very interested in what the public, especially people from those smaller towns, because I can tell you, Leganzi and Rico, I mean, serving 2 terms on Bono's city council, I can tell you how big of an impact that 25,000, that 30,000, even 10,000, much less 50,000 or more, can have on a small local city government. It is huge. So, when we start looking at, not just money, but we're also looking at in-kind, which we do. We have an amazing county road department with Craighead County. We have an amazing bridge building division within the road department. So, we have these amazing resources, and we do put them to use in different ways with cities. But, my advocacy is for that to happen as much as possible and as consistent as possible. And, I think having our budget in a way that's set up to where we have line items that might be for unincorporated, line items that are for incorporated, would be very interesting to look at in the future and get feedback from other court members as well as other city council members and mayors from across Craighead County. I'd be very interested to see what they think about that.
You mentioned something a minute ago about quality of life.
Yes.
And I wish that our local government would come together with this. Quality life, positive infrastructure, brings more economic development, which brings more finances to our community. I feel like if we're separate and we're looking at it separately, the division hurts our community. So interlocally, quality of life, you increase the quality of life. Mosquito control, you increase the infrastructure, wider roads. That's something we discussed this morning. We talked about the traffic. So people can compare traffic to Memphis or, to these other bigger places. And they say, well, this ain't, we get people from out of town come in and say, well, this ain't no traffic. Well, to us, it is. Our roads are not as wide as, some of those roads in those bigger cities. And so by increasing, because our population is growing rapidly, it's not slowing down at all. So in order to support that growth in our community, you have to focus on the quality of life. You have to focus on increasing your infrastructure. You even have to focus on collaborating interlocally with your governments, because as you grow, as you see the city expands, Jonesboro is getting wider and wider. If it's not wider, it's going higher. If you go to Hilltop, that whole area, it wasn't developed like it is now, right there where the movies are, and so it's growing. So yes, I agree with everything you said.
And I can't even add anything to that. But you sure you don't want to take a crack at being a radio host? Just gonna take over this chair. Kubila would be very proud of you.
Well, the things I talk about, they might sound different to some. Some people might hear it and say, well, I didn't know that, or I haven't thought about it like that. And that's what's so important about what KLEK does is, with community conversations, we're meeting and we're engaging and we're brainstorming about issues and solutions as well too. And, it's going out on the web and, hopefully it sparks not just a conversation that we're having here in the studio, but with neighbors as well too, and fellow citizens, not just of Jonesboro, but of all and throughout all of Craighead County, to start having those conversations about, this is how I want my local government to operate. These are the things that I want it to prioritize. These are the ways in which that these things can come to fruition. And having individual citizens advocate for the type of government and outcomes that they feel like will help them in their neighborhoods and their community be the best version it can be while continuously improving is such an exciting thing to me. And I just love hearing from different people, what they say and their perspectives and experiences that brought them to that way of thinking, because it certainly helps me as a JP and as an elected official to hear from people that look at it a little differently than I do.
Absolutely. All right. Any final comments? Anything else that we may want to go back over, or anything you may not have had opportunity to say to the listeners and to the viewers?
Don't look at the eclipse without glasses.
Got mine in my pocket.
I would like to say I truly appreciate KLEK. When you say community education, if you're having an event that can educate the community, or if you're having an event, period, KLEK in some way, form, or fashion is going to be there to live stream it or be in support. So if I could ask anything from anybody in the community, financially support this organization, because they're doing great things, not just in the minority community, but in the community as a whole. You have to think about the community conversations. You've had Judge Fowler. You've had several other, Chief Elliott. And so we want to continue to support this radio station so they can continue to educate our community on the different things that are going on.
Well, and just to add to that real quick, in KLEK, they bring on individuals and organizations from all across the political spectrum. And, as well as the Tea Party, which, may not always agree with me if on anything. But I certainly respect their presence on your radio show, and I respect you for being sure, that they receive coverage as well, and it's not just one side. I mean, it's everybody and it's everything, and that's so crucial, especially in today's day and age with how media can be. So it's very it's very integral for our community, and it's done with the highest integrity, in my opinion.
I agree.
Well, I thank you all so much for that. Of course, if you'd like to donate, you can go on our website, klekfm.org, click the green donate button, and you can donate that way. You can also sign up to be a sponsor or a vendor for our Juneteenth. That's also on the KLEK website and on our site, JuneteenthInJonesboro.com. It will be here before you know it. And, of course, you can also donate by Cash App or Venmo. It is $KLEKFM. Or you can mail a check or come by our studio. We're at 1411 Franklin Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401. Or if you're driving, you can't catch any of that, just simply Google us, and you'll get the information. Enjoy the eclipse, like Garrett said. Wear them glasses, y'all. I think there's still plenty of free glasses floating out there somewhere, so
I
you got time to find some.
I bet I got 100 pair, so just call
So
me.
Shamal got 100 himself. All right, you guys have a great, blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Man, I think we need to start a podcast.
What would you call it?